All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We greatly appreciate you spending some time with us and supporting the local economy by supporting all of our local area business owners, expert contributors here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, online at consumerqb.com. Of course, we're powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. Going to feature a couple of our listings here in just a moment. Quick shout out to Discovery Golf Cars, longtime friends of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Discovery Golf Cars, they do a great job here in Tampa Bay. New or used golf cars. They've got Easy Go, Star EV, Cushman, many makes and models, utility, commercial. They have golf carts available as well. They hooked me up with a beautiful Keller Williams Red, and Charlie and Carter love going for a ride, and Brady now too, of course, love going for a ride on the golf cart. DiscoveryGolfCars.com. Let them know the real estate quarterback sent you. All right, we got a couple of hot listings here. Property in 9749 Little Bluestem Drive. This is a property that we've got listed in Land O'Lakes. Two-story home, Connerton community, 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bath, 2-car garage, 2334 square feet. And this is a great home, great community as well. Coveted Connerton community. The kitchen boasts a spacious island, ample counter space, abundant cabinets, and a walk-in pantry. You have an owner suite that features an ensuite with dual vanities, soaking tub, and a separate walk-in shower. Got a large backyard as well as community pools. You got 2 pools on site, lap pool and more of a splash pad for the kids. Miles of trails, on-site elementary school, 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bath, 2-car garage, 9749 Little Bluestem Drive in Land O'Lakes, Florida. Another one of our hot listings from the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. 7300 Southwind Drive in Hudson. This is a Pasco County property. The owner is motivated here. This property is kind of a unique setup. You've got a perfect blend of comfort and luxury in a tranquil setting. You got a double lot here. The pool is large. It's an 18 by 30 foot pool surrounded by generous patio and covered seating spaces, ideal for relaxation in the Florida sun. 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 1726 square feet, 7300 Southwind Drive in Hudson, Florida. One of our hot listings from the team. An outdoor bar that completes the oasis, making it the ultimate spot for entertaining. The backyard, which backs up to a coastal marsh wildlife and bird sanctuary along the Gulf of Mexico. So you'll really relish the serene and peaceful ambiance as you immerse yourself in the beauty of nature. And what I love about this community, it's Sea Pines is the community there. It's a canal community, Sea Pines. You offer access. You have access to the Gulf of Mexico via the Community Association boat ramp. You can see all of our listings at PlatinumCoastalElite.com. Go online, check out PlatinumCoastalElite.com. All right, you got Brandon Faust on the lines here, moldsolutions.com. Brandon, how you been? What's going on in your world?
Been pretty good. I mean, the weather right now is a little crazy over here in Clearwater, Tampa Bay. I don't know if that's affecting you guys, but we got a hurricane or a tornado last night. Pretty intense stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And that leads, whenever you have these water intrusion, these situations, that's where your company comes in and has been helping a lot of Tampa Bay homeowners.
Absolutely. I mean, that's one of the most important things. Like, I was looking at the water flow at my house and also at the office today. It's really vital that you don't have water pulling up. So, making sure that your gutters are clean, making sure that those downspouts are in the right place so that it's actually pushing that water away from the home makes a big difference. Because if you think about it, if that water pools and it gets under the concrete slab, which can happen, let's say the earth soaks it in, and then that concrete slab, if it doesn't have a proper vapor barrier, it can actually have a capillary action, which will basically wick that water through the concrete. And if you have wood floors that are glued down, or if you have, the wrong vapor barrier, on top of wood, you can wind up with a seriously moldy mess. So, yeah, definitely when the rain's coming down, it's important to, make sure you're doing all the right things.
Yeah. And talk to me about, you've had certain situations come up over the years where you've had certain clients or even friends, I think at one point told you that they were going to the doctor. The doctor couldn't really figure out what was happening there, and it ended up being mold in the home.
Well, sure. I mean, I have a perfect example of that. So, I had a lady, they reached out to us because she'd been sick for a while. She's pregnant and she also has like a 1.5-year-old baby. She asked us to come out to her house. So we did a deep dive in the home and started looking at all the different places that she might potentially have an issue. So, upon that research and the deep dive in her home, we found out that she had a ton of microbial growth in her HVAC unit, and there was other things that were happening as well. So we ended up basically, through my other company, Real Duct Cleaning, doing a full duct cleaning, duct brushing, sanitization, cleaning everything out, cleaning the coils, cleaning the blower wheel where there was a lot of microbial growth, mold growth on those on the blower wheel and on the coils. And then we ended up sanitizing the entire home and using equipment, air scrubbers to basically help purify the air using these type of filters that help reduce any sort of pollutants that are floating around. And when she came back after we did all this to her house, she ended up sending me this text. She just sent this to me. Just wanted to let you know, and I plan on doing a full review, that when we came home last night, not only did the house smell so much fresher, but for the first time ever, my throat didn't get swollen and sore in the middle of the night. I actually felt like I could breathe without it hurting, and we didn't have any of the morning congestion we've been having, including my daughter, who has been having congestion for several months now.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome, man. Changing lives through that. We're talking with Brandon Faust here, longtime friend of the Consumer Quarterback Show, moldsolutions.com. You can find him online, and he's out there helping homeowners. A lot of times it's kind of buried behind a wall or behind the baseboard, and you just don't really know it's there. But you kind of have this sense of, man, something's off, right?
Of course. Well, one of the biggest things is the physical reactions that you can have and the symptoms that go along with mold exposure. So, you can have joint aches, respiratory issues, sneezing, runny noses, red eyes, skin rashes, obviously the congestion, throat irritation, coughing, wheezing, fatigue, weakness, all kinds of headaches, brain fog, even some of the, mental aspects of it are pretty intense as far as the, what it can do. So there's a lot of, these physical reactions that people are having that they go unexplained until the light bulb goes off and somebody goes, you know what, this might actually be my home making me sick, because when I leave the house, for 3 days, I feel better. But then when I come back home, I start feeling poor again. Or, it's just a continual thing that they can't figure out what it is. A lot of times, you're going to find out that is environmental, no doubt about it.
Yeah, and, we've had over the years, I've had a different conversation with people, but if you have, for example, just an air conditioning company that comes out and says, oh, yeah, they point at something and say, oh, that's mold. They can't really document or just claim that something's mold. And this happens in our real estate business as well with inspections, et cetera. So the common layperson or even a tech, that's an AC tech or whatever, they can't just point at something and say that's mold, right? It has to be tested and sent off into a lab.
Exactly. So one of the things, and look, it's a bit of an issue because, HVAC contractors are not allowed to deal with mold at all. Right? It's just, unless they have that license, they're not allowed to even mention the fact that they handle mold. Yet it is one of the places where it's notorious for growing. But in truth, not even a mold guy like myself can say that's mold. A technician can't say that's mold. Even an inspector can't say that's mold. They're supposed to take a swab of it and send it to the lab. And they're really the only ones that can officially say, hey, that's mold, and, this is the type of mold, and this is the quantitative aspect of what's there. Now, with that said, a lot of times, if, for example, you had food that was spoiling, right, and there was growth on it, it'd be pretty obvious what it is, So you have to take that into consideration as well. Sometimes it's clear what you're looking at, but if somebody comes in, and here's an example, there was a sting operation where, they were calling in mold guys and saying, okay, cool, give us a quote, what's this? And it's, oh yeah, that's black mold. We're going to have to tear all this out. It's probably going to be all over the, behind the walls. And then later on, it turns out it was actually mascara and it wasn't mold at all. Wow. So it had been, just kind of painted on the wall, if you will. So, that's also part of it. And there's times that, I've thought something was mold, and then we did the test, and it turned out that it wasn't. It wasn't organic at all. So that's why, I tell clients, look, you want to get this tested. Even though I might think that is something that's concerning, it doesn't mean that it necessarily is. And other times, it may seem like it's not concerning, but it actually is.
Right.
So that's where, testing it is really a crucial aspect of it, and a lot of times, and something that the, consumers out there and the audience should be aware of is that air samples, and if you're having an inspector that is specifically just relying on air samples as a testing modality, it's not the way to go. Like, the air samples are about 70% inaccurate, and meaning they miss the fact that there's growth 70% of the time.
Wow.
Because all you're doing is just going and putting a pump in the middle of a room and running it for 5 minutes, and maybe it captures something, maybe it doesn't. The most important aspect of testing is actually knowing what to look for and having an inspector that is competent and has experience and knows where to look and what to look for. And when you have that, it makes a huge difference, because then you can do a direct sample, taking, the swab or a tape lift, and actually taking some of that and sending it to the lab, and they'll tell you exactly what type of mold that actually is.
Tell us about your book. You just recently launched a book.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is one of the things that, for me, I really want to be able to help as many people as possible. And, it's far better, far more economical to have preventative rather than having to deal with it down the road. So, I put together, I've basically been in over 3,000 homes in Tampa Bay, in 6+ years. So is all the different things that I've gleaned from that experience of doing these environmental consultations, doing inspections, doing remediation projects. I'm licensed in both, but, on a property, you can only do one or the other in a 12-month period. But, the experience has obviously given me a lot of information that I felt would be extremely beneficial to not just people that have lived in Florida for a long time, but in particular those people that have moved to Florida, that maybe they have come from a drier climate and they're not used to some of the things that we would be used to in like sort of known datums, if you will. Like, right. I've had a number of people that have moved from, the West Coast that have decided to keep their windows and doors open, because they think they're going to get a cross breeze, but then they end up with microbial growth all over their home, because they're not realizing that mold is going to start growing at over 60% humidity if it's there on a continual basis. So, the book is Mold-Free Living, Preventing Mold in Humid Climates. And, it's actually for a limited amount of time, it's free to download. So I have a landing page that you can go to. It's moldebook.com. And pretty easy to remember, moldebook.com. And they just put in their name and their address, and they can download that book right there and read it. And it's a great, thing for anybody that's wanting to prevent mold from coming into their home, and, having a bunch of tips from somebody who's, a professional in the area that's had a lot of homes to look at.
Okay, awesome. Well, good stuff. That's about our time for today. Brandon Faust, moldsolutions.com, moldsolutions.com. And Brandon, thanks for those updates, man. Appreciate that.
You got it. Thanks for having me on the show.
My pleasure. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back with Shane Socash. He's the owner of David Reynolds Jewelry and Coin. Coming up, we're going to talk about, a lot of people are looking for alternative investment opportunities, precious metals, diamonds. He can do valuations for you and also kind of help you look out against some of these different scams or misleading advertisements out there when it comes to buying gold and silver. Shane Socash coming up here. David Reynolds Jewelry and Coin. Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Hey, I'm Ken Shamrock, and you're here with Consumer Quarterback Show.